record us drawing for a bit.
Okay.
You don't have to stop the conversation.
No, and then the button is just to hit.
It's going. It's on.
It's on. Okay, it's
So-
flashing.
Does it say?
It's just flashing. Is it going? It's recording?
Yeah, you see
Oh.
the time lapse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so these guys, they're relying on the coyotes who dump them out there most of the time.
Actually, there's a researcher out of UC San Diego who's actually been interviewing people in Mexico and in the United States, and they work out a business model basically. So in a lot of cases,
Wait. The coyotes work out a business model.
Because these are basically the same guys that are working for the drug cartels, and that's business. You know, the cartels are vicious and they're brutal, but it's business. You know,
on a mafia kind of level.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you see the old Dillingers, the old gangsters in the Prohibition days kind
But
of stuff.
how can they be smart enough as coyotes to have you think of a business plan concept of anything?
The business plan that they work out is you pay a certain amount down at the beginning, and then when you're delivered to whatever town you're trying to get to, that's when your family pays the rest.
So they get the family for the rest. They actually go and visit the families.
When it's basically cash on delivery.
So I thought they gave them cash beforehand.
It depends. In some cases it's all up front. In some cases it's part up front, part at the end.
That's how I would do it.
If they have family, then
Yes.
it's
Exactly. In some cases, if they don't have any family in the United States, then there's nobody waiting at the end to give them any money.
So then, I mean, would you do it? Would you do it?
If my family was starving, what are you gonna do?
Well,
you're not gonna let you're gonna let your family die because there's no work.
But think of the opposite aspect. You're leaving. You're the sole breadwinner in most cases.
And that's part of the terrible thing. It's like I've got a 3-year-old daughter. I cannot imagine not seeing her for year upon year.
Year upon year, and not knowing if they're going to be able to come and join you at any point in time, or if you're ever going to make it back.
Right.
or if you ever get there.
But at the same time, are you going to stay home if you're in a really, really impoverished area? Are you going to stay home and just watch your family suffer? Yeah,
that's another dynamic.
It's a tremendous dilemma.
So you have a 3-year-old daughter, and you would never think of doing any of that.
I'm not saying I wouldn't think of doing that. If she was suffering, I might, but I wouldn't do it lightly. Certainly, I would hate to be apart from her for that long.
With no indeterminate end of ever coming back.
Right. Yeah. Well, and thinking, the only way to see her again might be to try to smuggle her into the United States. And then you got the risk of everybody getting deported. So.
And it happens every day because of that. They catch all of them trying to.
Well, and you get like workplace raids and stuff too. So it's like
that's gone down. I heard though that hasn't. Hasn't kept up.
Yeah, I think that Obama and Napolitano have cut back on some of the big sweeps because those were really disruptive, but they don't do a whole heck of a lot.
They were disruptive and destructive, and it didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
For every one person that they took into custody out of workplace, 10 or 20 more probably poured across the border.
Well, it's you raid a workplace with 45 people, but there's 12 million people that are in the country without documentation. So
12 million that we know
what
of.
are you really doing? Yeah. So.
But with that number of that 12 million, isn't there a release date coming up soon of some 30 or 40,000 in INS detention centers that they're going to let loose this summer? This was what I heard.
They deport huge numbers every year. There's if you head south, actually there's one in Hutto, which I think is like somewhere between here and Austin. They have these immigrant detention centers where they have whole families that just sit there and wait to be deported. And the conditions there are so bad that when the UN Human Rights Commissioner tried to visit, he was turned away. These are like for-profit prisons.
And that's in the U.S. It's like the Guantanamo situation.
Yeah, it's the same mindset that these are not U.S. citizens. They therefore are not covered by the U.S. Constitution. They don't have a right to a lawyer. They don't have a right to any of the basic trial procedures.
If they were known terrorists that had come across and been detained, that would be different. But because
and some of them were picked up in workplace raids, so it's probably not terrorists that are hitting drywall or whatever.
Oh no, they're proper illegal immigrants. But isn't that an oxymoron to put those two words together? How can you have in the same sentence illegal and immigrant? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I know. Actually, I know a lot of people that get really pissed when they hear illegal tacked in front of anybody. Like whether it's immigrant, alien, or whatever. They say undocumented is probably more accurate anyway because it's just a civil. it's a civil crime. It's not a felony.
It's not a felony, no.
Yeah.
But it's a media ploy, I think, for
Yeah.
those who are in favor,
Yeah.
to put those two words together. And a lot of people don't separate them.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing the work there?
Just a couple of years.
Just a
I mean,
couple-
it's because it's there. I live down by the border.
And what do you think about the Texas, this militia that went down there?
Oh, the Minutemen.
Yeah.
They're a joke. They don't show their faces. It's
No.
really pretty funny. I've never, I've never seen them. Never once. Because they just, they dress up in camouflage and play soldier at night, and nobody, you don't see them. And if you go on their websites, they say when you're down along the border, don't tell anybody you're with the Minutemen because you won't be received very well.
Imagine. It's not shot.
Yeah, well, it's because they're basically racist. And you go into a place that's 90-something% Hispanic, and you say, I hate Hispanics, and guess what? People don't like you very much.
Yeah, that's not a very smart thing to do.
so they keep a very low profile when they go down.
Gee, that's crazy. But they've dwindled as well. I think the initial thing was a big PR, maybe
Yeah.
just for the organization. And as time went on, they you don't hear much about them anymore.
Yeah.
They've lost the will or the impetus or
Well,
whatever.
and then you had stuff like there was a thing just recently in Tucson where some Minutemen